According to the National Electrical Code, or NEC, Section 210.52c3, which addresses countertop receptacle requirements, a peninsula is defined as a countertop that extends from a wall or cabinetry and does not have enclosed sides. This section specifies that countertops over 12 inches or 305 mm wide that are installed at breakfast bar height or at kitchen countertop height and that are accessible from the finished floor shall have at least one receptacle outlet installed within 12 inches or 305 mm of each point along the countertop. Applying this to an L-shaped peninsula, the NEC considers it a single peninsula. This means that it requires at least one receptacle outlet within 12 inches of each point along the entire L-shaped countertop. Therefore, an L-shaped peninsula requires a minimum of two receptacle outlets, one within 12 inches of each end of the countertop. The homeowner's preference to have no receptacles on the peninsula cannot override the NEC requirements. It is crucial to explain the code requirements and the potential safety hazards of not having accessible receptacles. Some possible solutions can be explored to meet the homeowner's aesthetic preferences while still adhering to the code. Firstly, consider installing two pop-up outlets that can be concealed when not in use. These provide a clean look when not needed but offer convenient power access when required. Secondly, installing a receptacle outlet on the adjacent cabinetry within 12 inches of the countertop edge. This option keeps the receptacles off the peninsula itself while still meeting the code's reach requirement. Thirdly, convincing the homeowner to accept a small receptacle box mounted on the underside of the countertop. This solution minimizes the visual impact while providing necessary electrical access. When planning the receptacle placement, several factors should be considered. The primary consideration should be adherence to NEC Section 210.52c3, ensuring that at least one receptacle outlet is installed within 12 inches of each point along the countertop of the L-shaped peninsula. This requirement aims to provide convenient access to electrical power for appliances and devices used on the countertop, reducing the need for extension cords and minimizing potential safety hazards. The layout of the countertop is very important, particularly the length of each section of the L-shape. If either section exceeds 24 inches, it will almost certainly require a dedicated receptacle outlet. Remember that the 12-inch rule applies to every point along the countertop. Think about how the countertop will be used. Identify areas where appliances are likely to be placed, such as toasters, blenders, or coffee makers. Position receptacle outlets in close proximity to these areas to provide convenient power access. Also consider future needs, as the usage of the countertop may change over time. Installing additional receptacle outlets or strategically placing them can accommodate future appliances or devices. Electrical safety is paramount when determining the number and location of receptacle outlets. Ensure that all receptacle outlets are properly grounded and protected by ground fault circuits interrupters, or GFCIs, to prevent electrical shock hazards. GFCI protection is typically required for receptacle outlets located within kitchens and other areas where water may be present. Check local building codes and regulations to ensure compliance with all applicable requirements. Local codes may have additional or more stringent requirements than the NEC, so it is essential to verify compliance with all relevant regulations. The appearance and aesthetics of the receptacle outlets can be balanced with their functionality. Consider using receptacle outlets that match the decor of the kitchen or that can be concealed when not in use. Pop-up outlets, as mentioned earlier, are a popular option for concealing receptacle outlets when they are not needed. Ensure that the receptacle outlets are easily accessible and not obstructed by cabinets, appliances, or other items. Accessibility is important for both convenience and safety, as users should be able to easily plug in and unplug appliances without having to reach or strain. When discussing receptacle outlet placement with the homeowner, clearly communicate the NEC requirements and the reasons behind them. Explain the importance of having accessible receptacle outlets for safety and convenience, and address any concerns or objections that the homeowner may have. By working collaboratively with the homeowner, you can find solutions that meet both their aesthetic preferences and the code requirements. If the homeowner remains hesitant to install receptacle outlets on the peninsula, explore alternative solutions such as installing receptacle outlets on adjacent walls or cabinets. In some cases, it may be possible to install receptacle outlets in locations that are less visible but still meet the code requirements. It is also important to ensure that the electrical system is adequately sized to accommodate the additional receptacle outlets. Determine the total load that will be placed on the circuit and ensure that the circuit breaker is appropriately sized to prevent overloading. Overloading a circuit can create a fire hazard, so it is essential to ensure that the electrical system is properly designed and installed. In addition to receptacle outlet placement, also consider the type of receptacle outlets that are used. Tamper-resistant receptacle outlets are required in many jurisdictions to protect children from electrical shock hazards. Tamper-resistant receptacle outlets have internal shutters that prevent foreign objects from being inserted into the slots. For kitchen countertops, it may also be desirable to install receptacle outlets with built-in USB ports. These receptacle outlets allow users to charge electronic devices without having to use a separate adapter. When installing receptacle outlets, be sure to follow all manufacturer instructions and safety precautions. Turn off the power to the circuit before working on any electrical wiring, and use appropriate tools and equipment. If you are not comfortable working with electrical wiring, hire a qualified electrician to perform the work. Remember, electrical work can be dangerous if not performed properly, so it is always best to err on the side of caution. After installing the receptacle outlets, test them to ensure that they are working properly. Use a receptacle tester to verify that the receptacle outlets are properly grounded and that the wiring is correct. If you find any problems, correct them immediately to prevent electrical hazards. In summary, when installing receptacle outlets on an L-shaped kitchen peninsula, it is essential to comply with NEC Section 210.52C3 and any applicable local codes. An L-shaped peninsula is considered one unit, requiring at least 2 receptacle outlets, one within 12 inches of each end of the countertop. Consider the layout of the countertop, the intended use of the countertop, and electrical safety when determining the number and location of receptacle outlets. Communicate clearly with the homeowner about the code requirements and address any concerns or objections they may have. By following these guidelines, you can ensure that the receptacle outlets are installed safely, correctly, and in compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. This will provide convenient access to electrical power for appliances and devices used on the countertop, while also minimizing potential safety hazards. Consider that the electrical code is updated every 3 years, and that local municipalities may have amendments. It is highly advised to contact the local electrical inspector. They can provide the most up-to-date information to ensure that the electrical work is safe and legal. Also, consider the amperage rating of the receptacle. The standard is 15 amps. However, it may be wise to install 20 amp receptacles on a 20 amp circuit if the homeowner intends to use more powerful appliances. When running the circuit, ensure to use the proper wire gauge and conduit, if needed, for mechanical protection. Depending on the length of the run, the wire size should be increased to account for voltage drop. The most common voltage in a residential home is 120 volts. Consider that most countertop appliances are 120 volts and NEMA 5.15 receptacles will be used. A NEMA 5.15 receptacle has a hot, neutral, and ground pin configuration. All receptacles should be grounded for safety. Finally, when all the work has been completed, label the circuit breaker in the panel to indicate which receptacles it serves. This will assist in any future troubleshooting.